Good morning, Team Alabama. We are going to continue reading on page 179 in the Hunger Games. Please join me as we begin reading. We are in chapter 13, page 179. My leg is in need of attention, but I still can't look at it. What if it's as bad as the man's that I can see and I can see my bone? Then I remember my mother saying that if a burn severe, the victim might not even feel pain because the nerves would be destroyed. Encouraged by this, I sit up and swing my leg in front of me. I almost faint at the sight of my calf. The flesh is a brilliant red covered with blisters. I force myself to take deep, slow breaths, feeling quite certain the cameras are on my face. I cannot show weakness at this injury. Not if I want help. Pity does not get you aid. Admiration at your refusal to give in does. I cut the remains of my pant leg off at the knee and examine the injury more closely. The burned area is about the size of my hand. None of the skin is blackened. I think it's not too bad to soak. Gingerly, I stretch out my leg into the pool, propping the heel of my boot on the rock so the leather does not get too sodden. Sodden means wet. And sigh, because this does offer some relief. I know there are herbs. If I could find them, they would speed the healing, but I can't quite call them to mind. Water and time will probably be all I have to work with. Should I be moving on? The smoke is slowly clearing, but still too heavy to be healthy. If I do continue away from the fire, won't I be walking straight into weapons of the careers? Besides, every time I lift my leg from the water, the pain rebounds so intensely, I have to slide it back in. My hands are slightly less demanding. They can handle small breaks from the pool. So I slowly put my gear back in order. First, I fill my bottle with the pool water, treat it, and then enough time has passed, begin to rehydrate my body. After a time, I force myself to nibble on a cracker, which helps settle my stomach. I roll up my sleeping bag, except for the few black marks. It's relatively unscathed. My jacket's another matter, stinking and scorched, at least a foot of the back beyond repair. I cut off the damaged area, leaving me with a garment that comes just to the bottom of my ribs. But the hood's intact, and it's far better than nothing. Despite the pain, drowsiness begins to take over. I'd take a tree and try to rest, except I'd be too easy to spot. Besides, abandoning my pool seems impossible. I neatly arrange my supplies, even settle my pack on my shoulders, but I can't seem to leave. I spot some water plants with edible roots and make a small meal with my last pieces of rabbit, sip water, watch the sun make a slow arc across the sky. Where would I go anyway? That is any safer than here. I lean back on my pack, overcome by drowsiness. If the careers want me, let them find me. I think before drifting into a stupor, let them find me. And find me they do. It's lucky that I'm ready to move on, because when I hear the feet, I have less than a minute head start. Evening has begun to fall. The moment I awake, I'm up and running, splashing across the pool, flying into the underbrush. My legs slow me down, but I sense my pursuers are not as speedy as they were before the fire either. I hear their coughs, their raspy voices calling to one another. Still they are closing in, just like a pack of wild dogs. And so I do what I have done my whole life in such circumstances. I pick a high tree and begin to climb. If running hurt, climbing is agonizing because it requires not only exertion but direct contact of my hands on the tree bark. I'm fast though, and by the time they've reached the base of my trunk, I'm 20 feet up. For a moment we stop and survey one another. I hope they can't hear the pounding of my heart. This could be it, I think. What chance do I have again against them? All 6 of them. The 5 careers and PETA, and my only consolation is they're pretty beat up too. Even so, look at their weapons. Look at their faces, grinning and snarling at me. A sure kill above them. It seems pretty hopeless, but then something else registers. They're bigger and stronger than I am, no doubt, but they're also heavier. There's a reason it's me and not Gale who ventures up to pluck the highest fruit and rob the most remote bird nests. I must weigh at least 50 or 60 pounds less than the smallest career. Now I smile. How's everything with you? I call down cheerfully. This takes them aback, but I know the crowd will love it. "Well enough," says the boy from District 2. "Yourself?" "It's been a bit warm for my taste," I say. I can almost hear the laughter from the Capitol. "The air's better up here. Why don't you come on up?" "Think I will," says the boy. "Here, take this, Cato," says the girl from District 1, and she offers him the silver bow and sheath of arrows. My bow, my arrows. Just the sight of them makes me so angry I want to scream at myself, at the traitor Peeta, for distracting me from having them. I try to make eye contact with him now, but he seems to be intentionally avoiding my gaze, and he polishes his knife with the edge of his shirt. "No," says Cato, pushing away the bow. "I'll do better with my word." I can see the weapon, a short, heavy blade at his belt. I give Cato time to hoist himself into the tree before I begin to climb again. Gale always says I remind him of a squirrel, the way that I can scurry up even the slenderest limbs. Part of it's my weight, but part of it's practice. You have to know where to place your hands and feet. I'm another 30 feet in the air when I hear the crack and look down to see Cato flailing as he and a branch go down. He hits the ground hard, and I'm hoping he's possibly broke his neck when he gets back to his feet, swearing like a fiend. The girl with the arrows, Glimmer, I hear someone call her Ugh. The names the people in District 1 give their children are so ridiculous. Anyway, Glimmer scales the tree until the branches begin to creak under her feet, and then she has the good sense to stop. I'm at least 80 feet high now, and she tries to shoot me, and it's immediately evident that she's incompetent with a bow. One of the arrows gets lodged in the tree near me, though, and I'm able to seize it. I wave it teasingly above her head, as if this was the sole purpose of retrieving it, when actually I mean to use it if I ever get the chance. I could kill them, every one of them, if those silver weapons were in my hands. The couriers regroup on the ground, and I can hear them growling conspiratorially among themselves, furious that I have made them look foolish. But twilight has arrived, and their window of attack on me is closing. Finally, I hear Peeta say harshly, "Oh, let her stay up there. It's not like she's going anywhere. We'll deal with her in the morning." Well, he's right about one thing. I'm going nowhere. All the relief from the pool water has gone, leaving me to feel the potency of my burns. I scoot down to a fork in the tree and clumsily prepare for bed, put on my jacket, lay out my sleeping bag, belt myself in, and try to keep from moaning. The heat of the bag's too much for my leg. I cut a slash in the fabric and hang my calf out in the open air. I drizzle water on the wound in my hands. All my bravado is gone. I'm weak from pain and hunger, but can't bring myself to eat. Even if I can last the night, what will the morning bring? I stare into the foliage, trying to will myself to rest, but the burns forbid it. Birds are settling down for the night, singing lullabies to their young. Night creatures emerge, an owl hoots. The faint scent of a skunk cuts through the smoke. The eyes of some animal peer at me from the neighboring tree. A possum, maybe, catching the firelight from the couriers' torches. Suddenly, I'm up on my elbow. Those are no possum's eyes. I know their glassy reflection too well. In fact, those are not animal eyes at all. In the last dim ray of light, I make her out, watching me silently from between the branches. Rue. How long has she been there? The whole time, probably, still, and unobserved as the action unfolded beneath her. Perhaps she headed up her tree shortly before I did, hearing the pack was so close. For a while, we hold each other's gaze. Then, without even rustling a leaf, her little hand slides into the open and points to something above my head. Chapter 14. My eyes follow the line of her finger up into the foliage above me. At first, I have no idea what she's pointing to, but then, about 15 feet up, I make out the vague shape in the dimming light. But of what? Some sort of animal. It looks about the size of a raccoon, but it hangs from the bottom of the branches, swaying ever so slightly. There's something else. Among the familiar evening sounds of the woods, my ears register a low hum. Then I know it's a wasp nest. Fear shoots through me, but I have enough sense to keep still. After all, I don't know what kind of wasp lives there. It could be the ordinary leave us alone and we'll leave you alone type, but these are the Hunger Games, and ordinary isn't the norm. More likely, they will be one of the capital's mutations, tracker jackets, tracker jackers. Like the jabberjays, their killer wasps were spawned in a lab and strategically placed like landmines around the districts during the war. Larger than the regular wasp, they have a distinctive solid gold body and a sting that raises a lump the size of a plum on contact. Most people can't tolerate more than a few stings. Some die at once. If you live, the hallucinations brought on by the venom have actually driven people to madness. And there's another thing. These wasps will hunt down anyone who disturbs their nest and attempts to kill them. That's where the tracker part of the name comes from. Okay, we're going to stop there, guys. Please go ahead and add to your facts today, and have a great rest of your day.